Sounds good.
There we go. Recording.
Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm glad to see you all back and ready to learn some new and exciting things again today. This is lesson 8 of our Healthy Sense program, our series. And after this lesson, we're going to take 2 or 3 weeks break and then come back again right after Easter. So keep an eye on the webpage there and make sure you know when our next class is going to be. So we're looking forward to that. But like I said, this is lesson 8. This is called Developing a Spending Plan That Works Best for You All. Last week, if you remember, we talked about the resources that we have available in our area and what resources are out there and how we can utilize those resources to help our budget, to help make things just a little less stressful at home with everything that's going on. So we talked about those. There are some really, really neat resources out there. You've got food pantries, you've got churches, community services, you've got the University of Illinois Cooperative Extension, which is where I'm at, to help with the educational aspect of it, to help you research and find what you need as far as education for your nutrition aspect. So for those of you who don't remember, my name is Tammy, and I am with the University of Illinois Cooperative Extension. I'm a community worker for the SNAP-Ed program, which, as we talked about last week, is a federal funded grant to help promote the nutrition aspect. And just a little review last week, also the SNAP program does benefit a lot of areas. So there's a lot of things that go on within the SNAP program, not only the educational part on my end, but there's food assistance, there's schools, there's lunchroom, both breakfast and lunch assistance. There's the WIC program, which is the Women, Infant, and Children. So there's lots of areas out there that you guys can research. So let's get started. First of all, there is going to be a lot of opportunities for you guys to interact, ask questions, discussion, all those kinds of things. For those of you who have a question and we don't have time, or you don't want to ask it over the Skype call, there is my email address. Please reach out and email me. I'd be happy to sit down and talk with you about your questions, your comments, your concerns. If you get any questions that I don't know the answers, I will do my best to find the answers for you and reach out and get those for you as well. Okay, so my email address is there in the chat box. With the opportunities of being able to talk today and interact, I don't want anybody to feel pressure that they have to talk. It is just what we call a voice by choice. So it's whenever you feel comfortable and want to share or ask a question, please feel free to do so. So today we're going to use a little bit of a quote to kind of base some of our lesson on, I guess, just something to kind of remember. And that lesson, or that quote, is: a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So when you look at your budget and you're frustrated because ends don't meet, and they don't always meet, it's tough. But when things don't meet and you are stressed and you're struggling, just remember, it's not conquered in a day. It takes time. So I'm going to hopefully give you some little bit of hints and helpful resources today to utilize to better help make that a little less stressful. So the first thing we're going to do, I know that Alex put all of those resources in the handouts for you. There are several of them this time. There's probably, I don't know, 6 or 7 of them. And then we have our food, our recipe, and our take-home tips as well. So one of the first things that I want to talk about is a spending plan, okay? So your first handout is called a spending plan, and it looks just like this, okay? And let's just go over it for a little bit, and let's talk about how we can develop a spending plan. Small steps, and you're going to have to revise it. There are going to be things that, you know, you're going to need to revise to make things a little bit easier, to make it a little bit more comparable for you and your budget. So don't get frustrated that it's the first time it doesn't work, okay? So the spending plan is broke down into categories, okay? So housing and utilities. So in your housing and utilities, you're going to list what your expenses are, or what you plan to spend for the month, okay? For your rent or your house payment, you got electricity, we've got heating, phone, home maintenance, like your cleaning supplies, home repairs, water and sewer, property taxes, and then other, okay? So those are what you're going to lump into that. So you're going to put in, just say you have a $500 a month house payment, your utilities are, you know, $200 for electricity, and maybe that's your gas included as well, or maybe you can break it down both ways. And you've got a fairly comparable phone plan, so you've got maybe a $100 phone plan. And then for your cleaning supplies and your home maintenance, it's always nice to kind of plug something in there just in case. So let's just make it easy and let's just go $50, okay? And maybe $50 on water. And then if you're in a home that you're buying for yourself, your property taxes need to be included in that spending plan. Now, the only thing is that some cases, your mortgage companies will include your taxes and insurance and your payment. So if that's the case, then if you know what those numbers are and can break them down, otherwise, you know, you just know what your house payment is and that's what you're going to do for that. So keep that in mind. All right, then you're going to get a total. And we're going to do this throughout the whole thing. So cleaning and personal care, clothing, diapers, shoes, boots. You can see the whole list, personal products, haircuts, contribution and gifts. Do you give to, you know, do you contribute and do donations? Or even basic birthday parties. You know, your church contributions, your maybe Red Cross, or, you know, maybe you give to the Girl Scouts, you know, or, you know, they're doing a fundraiser or whatever. So anyway, those are all listed as well. Transportation is kind of a big one. So you've got your payments in your car, your truck, your vehicle, your insurance. If you don't have one of those and you have a monthly bus fare, we're going to plug that in. If you own your own vehicle or making payments on a vehicle, then you've got tire repair, gas and oil. You got your license and your insurance. If you have any parking, if you're at a job where you have to, you know, park and pay for parking, or you're working someplace that, you know, you're in a certain parking lot and it's, you know, a monthly fee or whatever, you know, that's all included in there as well. Okay, childcare. What is in your childcare? Do you have, you know, babysitting? Do you have, you know, what is your childcare? How much do you spend in childcare? Or child support, you know, if you have to pay child support. Okay, education and recreation is tuition for your schools, lessons. Do you have music lessons, acrobat lessons, you know, any of those kinds of things? Those are all included in there. You got books, papers, and magazines. Then you have television. So do we have a cable bill, satellite? Do you do video rentals? Plug in your, if you're going to take a vacation, or, you know, hobbies that you have. You know, the kiddos are involved in sports during the summer or something. You know, you've got to plan for those as well. And then don't forget your school fee. So what is your besides your registration for school? You know, you got a yearbook, you've got school pictures, you know, those kinds of things all get plugged into there. And then if there's anything else that wasn't covered, you know, that goes in a separate thing. Food is pretty self-explanatory. School lunches, food away from home. Again, if you're out with the kiddos doing something and you need to plan for a meal away from the house, then you've got to plug that in. Your medical and dental insurance, eye insurance, you know, if you got any prescriptions for, you know, that you take or the family takes for the month, you know, plug those in. If you got any credit cards, list your credit card payments and other expenses like your savings. If you tuck, to say, out of every paycheck, maybe you tuck $25 away into your savings or / emergency fund. If you need stamps or postage or pet care, those kinds of things, those are all plugged in there. Okay, so when we get those numbers all in there, then we're going to give us a total. And that is your spending plan. Okay, so that is about where you think you are, a ballpark idea, and how, you know, where your money goes every month. Okay, all right, so keep that right close by. And like I said earlier, we never seem to have enough. There's always a stipulation. There's always, you know, a shortfall. Something pops up, you know, it just happens. So at that point, then we have to make choices. Is it something we want or something we need? Remember, we talked about that a couple of weeks ago. Something we want or something we need. Is it need? A need is something for housing or food or shelter. Okay, that's a need. A want is something like eating out at a restaurant or buying an extra pair of earrings or buying a new magazine that you wanted. Okay, those are all wants instead of needs. So when you get down to it and you need to make adjustments, there's where you have to look. What's a need? What's an absolute need? Got to have it, can't do without it. It's an important part of my budget. It's an important part of my household. And then what is my want? Can I get rid of? Can I cut back on? Okay. All right, so then we're going to talk about our income. So then what is your income? How much do you make in a month? All right, so then we're going to bring up this tracking our monthly income. All right, so when we look at it, here's what we're looking at. The top part of this is just what it says. What is your income? Wages, assistance in, you know, your temporary emergency funds, tips and overtime, maybe that's additional or kept separate. Maybe if you're a waitress or, you know, anything like that and you get tips on the side, then your tips are actually extra. Excuse me, unemployment, that's considered extra. So maybe you do a little bit of work, but you've got more unemployment, or you got unemployment now and no job. That's cool. We'll work through it, get it on the budget so we can figure it out. Child support or alimony. If you're a single parent and you get child support and or alimony, or Social Security benefits for, you know, or pensions, any of those kinds of things, those two numbers go there. Okay. Now, that's your basic income. Now we're going to look at all the other assistance that's out there. Remember last week we talked about all kinds of other assistance that's out there. as far as helping with this budget. Does anybody remember what those were? Anybody got any ideas? Okay, we talked about emergency food. We talked about WIC, which is Women's, Infants, and Children. We talked about the SNAP benefits, which is, you know, your food stamps. Then there's also, which we didn't talk a whole lot about last time, but there's housing assistance, rent assistance, energy assistance, you know, your medical cards for your kiddos or for yourself. Those are all additional. So we want to plug all of those numbers in, okay? So how much are, you know, is any individual getting for food stamps? So let's just say they're getting $500 a month in food stamps and another $250 in WIC. Here's where the free and reduced lunches meals go. So as we talked about last month, the schools will offer free and reduced lunch for either lunches and breakfast or both. Those are roughly, you figure $40 to $45 a month is what that is equivalent to. So you're going to plug that in, $40 to $45 a month per child per benefit. So you got, just say you got 2 kids and they are both in school, they both utilize lunch and breakfast. So that's $40 for breakfast, $40 for lunch for one child, and the same for the second child. So you're looking at $80 a month for one and $80, so that's $160 for the month. So at that point, you need to include that $160 in there because that's assistance. That's income to you that you don't have to worry about, you know, meeting those needs. Okay. And I know when the kiddos aren't in school, the park district offers, I think 1 meal a day, Monday through Friday in their parks. So that, you know, that's something that helps with it too. So keep that in mind. Okay, so then we're gonna, you know, take all of that and we're going to add that all up, and then that is our monthly income. That's the income that you get for the month. All right. Okay. Expenses refer to where and how you spend your money. Okay, so like food, housing, clothing, your bus fares like we talked about, medical expenses, childcare, those are all what we call expenses. Your income is your other resources, whether it's a job or whatever you get within your income, whatever brings money in, tips, wages, paychecks, child support, unemployment benefits, you know, government and community resources, your temporary cash assistance, your your rent, your food, all that kind of stuff is all included in there. So the first step in developing a spending plan is to track both your income and your expenses. So now we have 2 sheets, okay? One is income, and then this is a spending plan. So we have them side by side here that we can kind of look at and see that here's my income and here's my expenses for the month. And is there enough to go around? And I hope there is, and I really hope there's a little extra for y'all. But if not, now we need to talk about how we decide what is, how we can cut, how we can make changes, how we can make provisions, okay? So back to the wants and the needs. So then it becomes, if I'm looking at my spending plan and I'm like, oh man, you know, I'm $300 short for the month. What am I going to do? All right. So could we look at, there's a lot of different areas we can look at. You guys got any ideas? What can we do? Just looking at your expense plan or what you've got going through your own mind, what is the way that you could kind of cut or trim back? Okay. So I'm just looking here at just a basic spending plan, and I'm thinking, okay, so I could watch my utilities, maybe turn the thermostat down just a little bit, you know, to offset that. My phone, I could maybe look at a different plan to see if I could get a better plan for less money that would still meet my needs, but maybe a little less money. All right, then let's move on to education and recreation. So could we pack a lunch from home? Could we pack a meal from home to take with us to the kiddos, you know, sporting events or whatever? Could we make some sandwiches or some snack bags, trail mix, party mix, fruit cups, any of that kind of stuff? Could we shave a little bit off of there? Maybe our satellite and cable bill, could we go with a little lesser plan? We kind of look at those plans. Could we call them and say, hey, you know, I need to kind of adjust this plan a little bit. Can you help me? What are my options? What have you got going on? Okay, food away from home we talked about. As far as going with kiddos and stuff, we can kind of shave that back a little bit if we provide meals or whatever from home, drinks from home, you know, any of those kinds of things that can kind of help out a little bit. Medical and dental expenses, that one's kind of a hard thing to shave just because there's so much out there. It's expensive no matter how you look at it. The only suggestion I would have is your prescriptions. There are several prescription programs out there that will help defer some of the cost, you know, with your prescriptions, to whether it's through the pharmaceutical company itself or through a side company that offers a cheaper coupon or rate or whatever that you could use at your pharmacy. So keep that in mind, okay? All right, so that entails our spending plan. So keep in mind how you can shave that. What are different ways that you can kind of tone that down a little bit? How can we help do that? All right. Okay, so let's try a scenario. All right, so there are 3 case studies that are included in your handouts, okay? And they look like this, okay, just case studies. So I'm gonna just pick one and I'm gonna read it, and let's just kind of talk through what their expenditures are, what their income are, and let's see if we can offer some suggestions to them that might help shave their costs a little bit, okay? So the one I chose to read is Juanita and her son, Carlos. Okay, Juanita is a single mother who is looking for work with the help of a local social service department. She has an 8-month-old baby boy named Carlos. Her mother watches Carlos while Juanita takes part in a job training class and job searches. She receives temporary cash assistance and both WIC and SNAP benefits. Juanita also receives child support payments from Carlos' father. Each month, Juanita finds that she must choose between paying less on 1 or 2 of her bills or borrowing money from her mother. Okay, so let's see what she's got. So with her income, she has temporary cash assistance, which is the TANF, for $450. WIC benefits for $40, SNAP benefits for $130, and child support for $250. So that gives her a grand total income of $870. Okay, before we go any farther, is there anything that you can think of off the top of your head that you would be able to help this income? Any ideas? What about if we went back to, maybe if Juanita went back to the, wherever she signed up for her benefits and said, hey, you know, I'm struggling a little bit. Can you kind of refigure this? You know, has there been any changes? You know, it's based on a 30-day income. So maybe she didn't work as much one month and they can refigure it and might get her a little bit more. Okay. So that's one thing to look at. All right. Things change drastically. They move things around based on income or based on new guidelines and whatever to the program. All right, let's see what her expenses are. All right, so she's got $800 or $500 in rent, $80 in utilities, $50 in entertainment, a $40 cell bill, $48 for a large package of diapers a week. She spends $175 in groceries, $75 from food away from home, $15 on pet food and care, and gasoline and car maintenance for her car is $77. All right, so what do you think? What things could she shave off of there? So she's looking at $1,060 in expenses and only bringing in $870. So she's short almost $200 there. So what ideas would you have? What ideas or suggestions would you be able to offer her? Any ideas? What could you kind of do? Could you utilize the program for rent assistance and see if she might be able to get some assistance to shave that bill a little bit for rent assistance? And there's one area that's a good possibility. Utilities are the same way. You know, if there's any utilities out there, utility service. The diaper situation, what about trying to find some coupons? What about trying to find some coupons that could actually help shave off a little bit of that? You know, even if it's $5, a $5 coupon, you know, that's a huge thing. $5 is, you know, closer to meeting things. Food away from home, your restaurants that take out foods, obviously $75, maybe we need to cut that back a little bit. Go back to the taking meals with you, preparing stuff at home, maybe waiting until you get home. Maybe you're just going to zip out for a couple games and you're going to come back. So, you know, that wouldn't be a hard deal. Zip out, go to a couple games, whatever you got to do, come back. Maybe you're gone a couple hours to eat when you get home. Gasoline and car maintenance, maybe kind of watch where you're going with your car and how much gas you're using. Maybe the little short runs, a little quick, I'll just run over here real quick, or I'll run over there real quick, or I'll just zip over here and do this. Those all add up and those pull away from the gas mileage. And so that might be something you might want to look at, okay? That might be a thing. So I'm thinking maybe we might be able to shave off, you know, $150 maybe, give or take a little bit to kind of help balance that budget a little bit, okay? All right, so the other two are just case studies as well. They're same situations. So take some time and look those over and see what you have as a possibility there. Okay, while you're thinking about that, and you can use this for yourself, ideas for decreasing expenses and increasing income. Decreasing and increasing, okay? So what this one does is you can use it for yourself, you can use it for the case studies, but what was the monthly income, what was the monthly expenses, and then what was the difference between? And then on those $100 bills, you're gonna write where you think you can decrease the expenditures or increase the income, okay? And see if you can come up with some ideas to kind of help them out a little bit. All right. Good job, you guys. All right. Let me see. So we got our spending plan done. And like I said, you guys, it's going to take you a little bit of time. It's not going to happen overnight for you to develop that spending plan. Your budget is not going to work overnight. It's going to take adjustments. Grocery bills go up. You know, things go up, gas goes up, all that kind of stuff. You're going to have to make sure you make allowances for, you know, those little issues that arise. So you don't want to cut yourself too short. Okay. The other one is called a tracking expense. So this you might want to use just for a month or two, make copies of it or whatever, and track exactly what you spend in a month's time for all of those areas. You know, the spending plan was just a ballpark idea of what you thought you might spend in a month. So now this is actually tracking it. So then you can kind of compare the two to see, oh man, I thought I could get by with, you know, $100 a month on food, and Jiminy Christmas, the kiddos really grew and I end up spending, you know, $200 this month. So, you know, that would be something to kind of help you guys out with that as well. All right. Anybody got any questions? Anybody got any questions? All right. What are your thoughts about doing developing your own plan? Is that something that you think will help you? Is that something that you think you could benefit from? Oh, excuse me. Is that something that you think might help you put things in better perspective? I think it could be a great tool. I wish I used it more. Not always, you know, not always something that's on the top of my priority list, and it should be probably, but you know, something to kind of think about. Are there ways, as we've been going through this, that you think that we could change things in your everyday life, in your budgeting ideas, in your monthly expenditures, your income? Is there things that have popped in your head that you could, oh, that'll work, that might work, oh, I might want to try that? Think about that for, you know, a few minutes and see if there's anything that pops up. Okay, let's move on to our recipe. So chocolate dipped fruit, got it up here on the board. This is really a simple and easy thing. This would be great for snacks after school or whatever. Not very many ingredients, doesn't take a whole lot of time. So bananas, strawberries. I put apples up here because I thought apples would be, you know, fun to use as well. But semi-sweet chocolate chips, you're going to melt those, and then bananas, strawberries, you know, I put up apples, any of those kinds of things. And if you want to put some nuts or anything in your semi-sweet chocolate when you melt it, just dip your fruit in it and then lay it off to dry, like on a piece of parchment paper or something. And then, you know, as they dry, they'd be great to stick in the fridge, and it'd be a little quick snack, or, you know, have the kiddos get involved and have you, you know, help you out a little bit. That would be fun too. So, but it gives you the recipe, and that was included in your handouts as well, everybody. So you got that. All right, take home tips. Here's the last thing of the day. Take home tips. These are something that I think is a really good idea. They really get you some goals. So I encourage you, I challenge you to pick 2 goals to try and change, or see if they will better help you within your needs. So needs are things that you must have, like food, shelter. So it gives you a little bit of an outline of what we actually talked about today. And then the goal is, there's 3 of them here. I will think about the differences between needs and wants as I make choices. I will track my income and expenses for a month. And I will develop family spending plan based on my income and expenses. So pick 1 or 2 of those, or try all 3 of them and see how they work for you. See how they make things easier for you. Maybe they put things in better perspective. Maybe there's times when you're like, gee, Christmas, where's my money going? It just doesn't seem like I, spend that much. And so where's it all going? How can I get a better grip on what's going on? And it also helps you keep track of what assistance that you're getting in, so you can offset your budget as well. So like I said, you guys, there's a lot of assistance out there. Be sure and reach out to them. If you need help finding assistance or ideas with assistance, again, please email me and let me know. I'll try and get you as much information about that as I can, or help you out getting in contact with whatever. So does anybody have any questions? Comments? Concerns? I hope you guys enjoy these series. I really enjoy this Healthy Sense program. It's a good eye-opener, kind of help you do some really soul searching to see how you can make things better, whether it's planning or shopping or budgeting or eating or all of the above, but anything that can help you make things a little bit better. So like I said, we're going to take a couple of weeks off and we'll be back right after Easter. So I thank you so much for sharing this time with me, and I hope you guys all enjoyed it. And I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye, everybody.